What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. We're continuing with what I'm calling Defensive Player Week here on my YouTube channel. Yesterday, I gave you my top 10 defensive linemen in the 2021 season. And today, I'm going to give you my personal top 10 linebackers for the 2021 season. Again, if your favorite player is not on here, I considered a lot of players to be on this list. They probably just barely missed the cut. Thank you guys so much for the support on the channel recently. My channel has almost tripled in size over the past couple of months. And guys, college football is 2.5 weeks away. I know I'm not a college football expert. I know I'm going to get some stuff wrong here and there, but I try to provide the most accurate information that's available to me. And if you like what you see from me, or if you're interested to hear my takes of what goes on during this upcoming season, please hit that subscribe button. You can also leave a like, share the videos as well. Helps push them out to people who might want to see this kind of content. And you can leave a comment down below. Tell me your thoughts on the linebacking group that we're going to see in 2021. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the linebacker position, right, for 2021. So linebacker position is a really interesting position in, well, the game of football, right? Linebackers are kind of the, we want you to be able to do a little bit of everything position. And I took that into big account here when I was making this list. Again, guys, there were a lot of players that I decided to consider to be here on this list. And again, if the player on a team that you cheer for is not on here, again, they probably just missed the cut. But these are the 6 guys right here that I feel like were the absolute closest to cracking my top 10. Again, they just barely missed the guys that I like a little bit more than them. I promise you I'm going to butcher this first name, so Washington fans, don't attack me. But Edifon Ulufushio. I know I butchered that name. I promise you. But a very, very good linebacker, should have a very, very successful season at the University of Washington. Couple SEC guys right in the middle there. That's Grant Morgan at the University of Arkansas and Zacoby McClain at the University of Auburn. And both those guys, fantastic players. Both of them should be really, really good for their respective defenses in 2021. Up at the top there, you got Peyton Wilson in the black NC State logo. I like those uniforms. They're really sleek. But besides that, Peyton Wilson plays great in any uniform that he wears for the NC State Wolfpack. Why he wears the Captain C, good for 100 tackles a year. Was a guy that just barely missed this list. Again, you can make the case for anyone that's on the screen. DeMarvion overshown as well at the University of Texas, just barely missed the list. And then a guy that, well, doesn't get talked about enough because he plays at the University of Troy. His name is Carlton Martial, and he has exploded at Troy his past couple of years. He's finally starting to get the recognition that I believe he deserves. Could be an All-American player at the end of the year. I really do like him. Again, there are just guys that I ended up liking more than him, but he has to be an honorable mention because I feel like he's very undervalued, again, because he plays for the Troy Trojans. But with that being said, these are the 6 guys that barely missed the top 10. Let's see what guys actually did make it into the top 10. Starting in at number 10, and some people may feel like I'm underrating Nakobe Dean here, but I am putting him at 10. Again, there are just guys that I end up liking more than him. If you want to put him higher, go ahead, but I definitely think he's a top 10 linebacker in the nation. For all the linebackers you're going to see here today, I am giving you their 2020 stats. There wasn't a linebacker that I looked at and said, wow, they didn't really play a lot in 2019 or in 2020, so I have to put their 2019 stats. Now, you're going to see all 2020 stats for the linebackers here today. So 71 tackles last season for Nakobe Dean. Incredible. 39 by himself. 1.5 tackles for loss, which coincidentally were his 1.5 sacks. Didn't really do much to affect any other play, like no forced fumbles, no pass deflections, although he did have an impact on the Georgia defense last year and could have a huge impact on the defense this year. He's got terrific football instincts, can defend the run, can defend the pass. We'll talk about his pass game in a little bit, but really, really good instinctual player. He has excellent speed and ball pursuit, can take really good angles to stop a running back or whoever happens to be carrying the ball, can take really good angles, can stop him in the backfield. I know only had 1.5 tackles for loss, but really could have had a lot more than that. He's got to improve his pass game approach. There are a couple things when you watch him on film to where he doesn't necessarily read the passing game all that well. He can blow his coverage at times. And in my opinion, he's really got to start using that speed in the pass game. And then his pass rush can use a little bit of work as well. So overall, improve the way he approaches looking at the pass game, which I know Georgia's coordinators and everything have talked about, he has done a little bit of improving this offseason. But I got to see it on the field, got to see it play out. Nakobe Dean at number 10. All right, number 9 is Noah Sewell. And if that last name sounds familiar, yeah, he is the younger brother of Penei Sewell, who just got taken in the NFL draft. We're looking what he did last year: 48 tackles, 28 by himself, 6.5 tackles for loss with 2 sacks, and forced a fumble as well. He's got very high football IQ and a very high ceiling, coming in with a lot of expectations, and he unfortunately was carted off in the game against UCLA, but got back to play the next week and still looked like himself. So that injury didn't slow him down a ton, although you wonder if it's going to show up again this season. I don't think it will. I think he's looked fine. He has elite spatial awareness. It's some of the best in all of college football. Really does have a tackle box from number to number. And by that, I mean the numbers on the field that are chalked out. But no, like, his tackle box is huge. He can cover both ends of the field, up and down. Like, he'll go wherever you need him to go. The one thing, though, that I couldn't find a huge flaw that scouts would point out, at least. Again, he was only a freshman last year, so not a whole lot of scouting reports, like official scouting reports, going on that I could find. But he himself has said that he's working on eye control. And then as soon as I heard that, I went and I watched some tape, and yeah, that's kind of a struggle of his game. There are some times where he misreads the offensive linemen, misreads the way they're going, can misread the gaps, the holes, and he's working on that, he says, this season. So good on him. He knows what he needs to fix. And yeah, Noah Sewell has been projected as a first-team All-American that I've seen. Definitely could happen. For me, though, Noah Sewell here at number 9. He can only but improve on what he did his freshman year. All right, number 8 is Ventrell Miller, a guy that when I first compiled this list, had pretty high up, but again, it wasn't the fact that he fell, it was that other guys passed him. But he is still here on this list at number 8, a really, really good linebacker, albeit Florida's defense not usually that great. In my opinion, it'll take a bit of a step up this year. But of course, with that defensive coordinator, you never know. Lots of talent on this Florida defense, and Ventrell Miller is one of those terrific talents. You can make the case for Brenton Cox, but I do feel like Miller is the better linebacker. 86 tackles last year, 52 by himself, 7.5 tackles for loss, which also led to 3.5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and 3 passes defended last year for Ventrell Miller. He's very fast-moving and loose-flowing. That was a description I saw on a scouting report, I believe by the Pro Draft Network. It was one of those sites again. But he's fast-moving, he's loose-flowing. That happens in tape. He's very agile, he's quick, and he's fluid. So he'll kind of like adapt to the play, has pretty good, in-play adaptation. But the position where he's very effective is as a delayed blitzer. So he'll drop back and maybe look like he's going to spy the quarterback, and then he'll come through. Let the defensive lineman create a hole for him, and then he's gunning it for the ball carrier, whether that happens to be the running back, the quarterback. It's also a big part of what leads to 3.5 sacks, and I think that number can get bigger in 2021. But sometimes he's pretty easily forced out of plays. He does have a smaller frame for a linebacker. Now, it's not overly small, but it's a smaller frame, and there are some opportunities where if he doesn't hit the offensive lineman at an angle, if he hits him square, then they're pretty much easily able to hold him off and be like, oh, buddy, you're not going anywhere. So Ventrell Miller can work on taking some angles, reading the offensive line a little bit better, and just giving not necessarily a better effort, but not letting himself be forced out of plays. He can be higher, but Ventrell Miller, very good linebacker at number 8. All right, number 7. Hey, look, that's me. No, not me. Same first name, not same last name. It's Nate Landman. I absolutely love Nate Landman. No, not just because we share the same first name, but he's a fantastic player. And you really can tell when he's out there that he just does love the sport of football. 53 tackles last year, although he was good for 100 plus in his prior 2 seasons. 39 by himself, 9 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 pass defended. He's a defensive leader. Scouting reports have said he's the quarterback of the defense, and I don't think there's a better way to phrase that. When you watch him play, he's directing everyone on the defense. Find the gap, watch this man. Watch the slot, watch the shift. Like he is the quarterback of the defense. He'll call an audible out there if he sees that the offense is changing the play or the defense isn't set right. Like, he will get guys set. He's a very good defensive leader. And I think maybe is considered a super senior this year. If not, is definitely a senior in Nate Landman. And he's an excellent tackler. He's an excellent tackler who rarely misses his opportunities. Hence why he has so many tackles year after year. And again, that 53 tackles was only over the course of, I believe, 6 games. So then when you look at it, that, again, is 106 tackle pace, which he's reached before. The main concern with Nate Landman, I don't know that it's a concern. It's just a thing. Well, maybe you can call it concern, whatever you want to call it. He doesn't play as well in space. So when he's out in open space, he's not the quickest, most agile player on the field. So if you catch him in open space, the ball carrier might pretty easily be able to, beat him. But overall, Nate Landman plays better in a confined area. He plays better when there's traffic. That's where he thrives. So if he can get better at playing in space, this guy is for sure a top 5 linebacker in the nation. But for right now, I feel pretty confident in saying he's at number 7. All right, number 6 is Will Anderson. Not the only linebacker from Alabama you're going to see on this list either. Last year as a freshman came in and was very productive. 52 tackles, 34 by himself, 10.5 tackles for loss with 7 sacks and 1 forced fumble. He has a very rare talent. It's a very good talent, though, but he has rare, excellent pass rush instincts. His instincts on the pass rush are some of the best in the entire country. A place where he thrives. Something that I kept reading over and over, whether it was Coach Saban, other defensive players, defensive coordinators, players on other teams, scouting reports, pretty much everywhere I read before sitting down recording this video said that he's a hard worker. There's no funny business as soon as he gets into that locker room. He's a guy that will sit down, will put in the work, and he brings a lot of energy onto the field. And I think that is something that you absolutely need to have on a team. And from a freshman, no less, well done, Will Anderson, getting praise from Nick Saban in that regard. Can he live up to lofty expectations? There are some expectations throwing on. He's been thrown on a lot of award lists, been thrown on maybe he can be an All-American, probably first team, first rounder of the NFL draft. If not this year, then next year. Like, Will Anderson's got some high expectations that are being thrown upon him. And the answer to that question is he can live up to those expectations, but will he? That's the big thing, right? Will Anderson at number 6. All right, number 5 is Drake Jackson. So if you didn't see Drake Jackson in yesterday's video and you were kind of scratching your heads and wondering why, I didn't see any comments about it. But Drake Jackson last year played the outside linebacker position, although he can play defensive end. And that's the first bullet point I have. He's a very effective linebacker defensive end combo. He's listed on the depth chart. He's listed on the roster as a linebacker. So that's why he's in this video and not yesterday's video. He also played the linebacker position a lot more than the defensive end position last year and was fairly productive in that, albeit not as productive as he was as a defensive end. But again, that's what happens when you switch positions. 20 tackles, 8 by himself, 5.5 tackles for loss with 2 sacks and an interception from the linebacker position as well. On top of him being a nice combo, which you can see a lot of linebackers being, he's probably the best linebacker defensive end combo in the entire country. Again, was recruited as a defensive end. Last year was like, hey, you'd be pretty good at linebacker. And, well, he was. Hence why he's in the top 5 of this list. He's got elite athletic ability for a man of his caliber, for a man of his size, for a man of his frame. Incredible athletic ability. Need I say more? One thing about Drake Jackson, and it's why he's not in the top 3, because he would be in the top 3 if this was not his issue. Tackling is important. Yes, you see him leveling a guy there at Fresno State, but that's also when he played defensive end, in mind. But for Drake Jackson, yeah, I mean, across pretty much every scouting report I read, they said, got to get better at tackling. He's got to get better at tackling. Not to say he's a bad tackler. It's just some of the easy tackles he fails to follow through on. So if he can work on his tackling, can work on his technique, can really get that down, you're looking at a top 3 linebacker in the nation. But for right now, still top 5 and number 5. Number 4 is a player that I love. I love Devin Lloyd. Much like his tight end, Brant Kuithe, I love Devin Lloyd. Again, Kuithe plays for Utah. Devin Lloyd, of course, you see the logo, you see the colors, plays for Utah. Now he's worn 20 and 0, you're going to see there, but where's number 0 right now? Look at what he did last year. 48 tackles, 33 of them by himself, 10 tackles for loss with 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Devin Lloyd is excellent in pass coverage. Need I mention that he played safety in high school? Probably why he's really good in pass coverage. He's probably one of the best pass coverage linebackers in the entire nation. Again, he has that experience playing safety. That definitely helps in his pass coverage. His mid-play adaptation, we talked about with some other guys on this list, probably the best in all of the nation. His ability to read things mid-play, if he sees, oh, I thought that was going to be a counter. No, it's a handoff inside. Then he'll adapt to it mid-play. His positioning is really, really good as well. Look at positioning at someone here in a minute. The one thing that I did see from some reports saying he's got to work on block shedding and ball pursuit. Overall is a very, very good linebacker. But again, being able to shed those blocks to make his presence more known, be able to get into the backfield, although 10 tackles for loss would tell you otherwise. Again, block shedding, ball pursuit, something that he can work on. That's not a huge issue to me, though. I love Devin Lloyd. Well, ball pursuit might be an issue that he's got to work out, but block shedding, hey, that's something that he needs to work on. If he can work on that, again, maybe a top 3 linebacker, who knows, but Devin Lloyd is here at number 4. All right, now we're in the top 3. Number 3 is Mike Rose from the University of Iowa State. Really came onto the scene, really even came onto the scene as a freshman, but last year, excellent. Why he was named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Mike Rose was 99 tackles, just one away from 100, right? So close. But 99 tackles is still a very impressive year. 57 of them by himself, 10.5 tackles for loss with 1.5 sacks, 5 interceptions from the linebacker position, and 2 passes defended. He's rarely, if he's ever, out of position. That's something when you watch tape and you're like, okay, the linebacker should be here. He's there. Why do you think he wears the captaincy? He's barely ever out of position. He is the best position man in college football. If you tell him, hey, go rush the quarterback, you got it. He'll do exactly what he needs to do. He's like, hey, go play coverage in the linebacker. He'll do it. He can play safety if he needs to. That leads to my second bullet point. He can play any position on the defense. Those 5 interceptions tell you, yeah, he's pretty good as a pass defender. Pretty good. I mean, no wonder he won the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year award last year. I mean, Mike Rose is absolutely incredible. I couldn't find a huge major flaw with him, but there are some little things that he can fix. What those little things are, well, there's a multitude of them. It'd take me forever to list them off. But for Mike Rose, work on the little things. Maybe work on like technique a little bit, although that might not be a huge issue. Again, just tweak your game a little bit, fix the little things, and you're looking at the best linebacker in the country. But for right now, he's at number 3. Number 2 is another linebacker in the Big 12. And although if you want to make the case to flip Mike Rose and Nik Bonitto, please absolutely do so. But Nik Bonitto, to me, is going to win that Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year award this year. Look at what he did last year. 33 tackles, 19 of them by himself, 11.5 tackles for loss. That's a 33% ratio from his tackles to his tackles for loss. That's really good. 9 sacks as well with 2 passes defended. So although he's not a huge tackling linebacker, he'll get into the backfield really easily. Excuse me. And this wording I saw in a scouting report, I absolutely love. It said he's an explosive, quick twitch athlete. I love that description of Nik Bonitto. It describes him perfectly. When you watch Bonitto play, really is explosive because he's quick, he's speedy, he's agile. Second bullet point, he has elite agility, elite acceleration, and his quick twitch is one of the best in the entire game. Same with first step. Now, we talk about first step more with defensive linemen than you do linebackers, but his first step could be one of the best in the entire nation out of that linebacking position. His pass rush has huge upside. He's just got to get there. His pass rush, I'm not saying is bad. It's still relatively good, but there are some things in the pass rush that he can definitely improve. But in my opinion, you're looking at what is going to be the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in Nik Bonitto. Yes, Mike Rose can win it again, but Nik Bonitto just emerging onto the scene last year. And this Oklahoma team looks like they're on a mission. This Oklahoma team looks like they're gearing up. So Nik Bonitto here at number 2. But number 1 for me, it's the second Alabama linebacker you're going to see on this list, and that's Christian Harris. Try to find a bad thing to say about Christian Harris. Tackling. Okay, stop. We'll get there. You say tackling's an issue. I raise you this: 79 tackles, 52 by himself, 7 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks with an interception, and 2 passes defended. He has excellent positional understanding. He understands the linebacker position very well. He knows what his job is. Every single play call, he knows what he's got to do. The understanding of the linebacker position might be the best that I personally have ever seen on tape. Just saying. He's a dominant and exciting player as well. When you watch him on the field, you know you're going to get a show. I couldn't help when watching some Alabama games last year. I was like, wow, who is not Christian Harris? Good on you. Like, Christian Harris is a very fun player to watch. Very dominant, very explosive. There is a minor tackling issue. Okay. Don't attack me. Christian Harris has a minor tackling issue. Some of the easier tackles, not saying he does it all the time, but he tends to not follow through with his tackles. And then usually with how good Alabama's defense is, other people come in to clean him up. But at the next level, he might not necessarily have that. So for him to be bona fide, the best linebacker in the nation, which I already think he is, but in order for him to solidify that, fix that tackling issue, you got the best linebacker in the nation. I think he's going to be the first linebacker off the board. He's my number 1 linebacker in 2021. And that's going to do it. Again, if you guys enjoyed, like, share, subscribe. You can leave a comment down below. Do all of those great things. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. Tomorrow, of course, we're looking at the last third of the defense, the defensive back group. Goodbye.